So, kuan kanang nahuman naman tanan og midterms no.
I think so.
So, kindly comment your kuan kanang name and ID number for your attendance. Gamay ra discuss karon kanira man kuan. Kanira mang module 3. Sa inyo makita sa screen.
Module 3.
So
Module 3.
mga pilar ni ka slides mga 5 siguro. So ang topics to be ethical issues in project management. Last is the levels of IE certification. So kakuha naman mo no nga ay tayo gitawag nga CIE. So what is a project management? So for most of the companies right now, kung makita ninyo, especially for buildings and businesses, na sila project managers. So, ano kinanglan mag-hire of project managers? So, it is a needed edge for growing project complexity. So, and collapsing product life cycles such as cost overruns and unnecessary delays occur due to poor scheduling and controls. Project is also a series of related tasks directed towards a major output. And then there are 3 phases of project management. Number 1 phase is the project planning. Number 2 is the scheduling. And number 3 is the project controlling. So, for example, let's try to think on the side sa inyong thesis, especially if you are an improvement research. No? So the first phase is supposedly your project plan. So it is, number 1, defining your project. What is your target output of the project? And then defining the quality of your output. Unsay, how do you define the quality of your output? So basically, na-discuss na sa previous na itong discussion. Number 2 is, when you have a project already, you define your project organization. This is formed to ensure that projects receive proper management and attention. And number 3, you should have a project manager. Ang project manager is coordinates activities with proper department, reports directly to top management. So sa project planning, there is 2. You have a work breakdown structure or a WS. This is a division of a project into a more detailed component or task. And number 2 is the levels of the project, major task in the project or project milestones, subtask and major task, and activities or work packages to be completed. So, kung magtanaw mo, basically, taas na siya. But, we will have shorter discussion nga more kanang gaman na lang siya. So after that one, after the project planning, you should have your project scheduling. This involves the sequencing and allotting time to all project activities, computing for the resources needed for each activity, which is what we call also as a resources scheduling. And lastly is a Gantt chart, a MS project, a Primavera, or a MAP project. So kung may taogan na may, di ba, if you have an implementation plan in research, at the end of your research or so in yung chapter 6, you should have an implementation plan. What comprises your implementation plan is that you should have a Gantt chart of activities para ma-meet nimo or your project should be completed within a certain time frame. So next is project controlling. It involves close monitoring of resources, cost, quality, and budgets. Number 2, using a feedback loop to revise the project plan and having the ability to shift resources to where they are needed the most. So, Ang reports generated during a project controlling is you have a detailed cost breakdown, total program labor curves, cost distribution tables, functional cost and hour summaries, raw material and expenditure, variance reports, time analysis reports, and work status. So kung magtanaw mo ana, that is already your POM as a whole. Okay? There are certain courses in your POM, operations management that focuses on all of those. So still, there are what we call as ethical issues in project management. Number one is gift offers from contractors. Makabantay mo na, especially when you're working in the industry already, or makabantay mo na siguro, makabantay mo nga, if you look into certain businesses na ikaw, if you try to sell something, if mahalinan ka, tagaan ka gift sa imong contractor or supplier, no? So, on the side of the supplier, it is what we call as gift or pasalamat kay nagkuha ta o order gikan nila. But there might be an ethical issue on that point because possibly imong gihatag ni supplier ang order kay kibaw kang muhatag siya. Okay? Number two, pressure to alter status reports to hide reality of delays. So, it boils down into integrity of reports. So, for some of my thesis advisories already, makabantay na sila or makabantay ko, isulti sa tinuod o wala. So, basically, kung mungutan na ko, what is the status of your data gathering, maingon sila, sir, hapit na. So, when they say hapit na, akong pangutana is, in terms of target na sample size versus karon, pila naman ta. Okay? And then at some point, when you go into the industry, your immediate superior will tell you not to show the real scenario kay basin maproblema ta kasabaan ta sa management, or the management can say inefficient ang ato ang pagtrabaho sa atong project, which is in the sense wrong because you are not showing the real scenario. And then at some point mura sa kag maingon nga okay ra di ay para dili ka makasabad because you fall short of your timelines because of inefficiencies. Number three, false reports for charges of time and expenses. Still, this is most likely the same as this one, but it falls down on the expenses or the cost. Kung if the project manggod certainly has delays, tendency would be cost for the project would increase due to delays. And number four, pressure to compromise quality to meet bonus or penalty schedule. So, ang tendency, if mahuman nimo on time, naa kay 1 million nga bonus. And ang hitabo is, nahuman nimo on time. But after you turned over the project to the customer nakadawat siya o dali ra maguba ni nga machine, inefficient kaya akong dagan sa linya, that's because you were compromising quality in order to meet your bonus. Or, at some point in time, most of the companies right now, if you fall beyond your schedule, na kay penalty nga 10,000 per day. So, bid rigging. So, unsa man ang bid rigging? So, pagkakaroon man good mo, even the public companies or the government are looking into a bidding na kanang process flow no in kuan ka ng pagbid o mga project or awarding. So, divulging confidential information to some bidders to give them an unfair advantage. So, if ako, nagtrabaho ko sa usa ka private sector part, buhati ni og bid part nga, ikay makadahog. Ana siya. So, lowballing is contractors are who try to buy the project by bidding low with the hope of recovering cost later by contract renegotiations or by simply cutting corners. Ang sunod is bribery. Ang next is expense account padding or use of substandard materials compromising health or safety standards, withholding needed information. Failure to admit project failure at the closure of the project. So, project management, kung magtanaw taon when it comes to project management. Diba? For example, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, na yung G din. Kagi man siguro mo sa inyong OR, no? Operations, research. Kagi wala. Kagi wala.
POM.
POM.
POM,
Or,
hindi.
for POM, ang sa inyo makita. Tama na
Shortest
eh.
something. Shortest.
Ha?
Shortest. Kung anong tingin
Shortest path.
Sa shortest
Path.
Shortest path.
shortest path. Or what you call as your critical
Critical path.
shortest path moron kani siyang shortest path. OR na. That is what you call as network flow models. Sakto? Critical path. Your critical path makes you define asa ka nga project ma-delay or delay. Okay? So, at that point in time, makita nimo which of the project di dapat ma-delay. Hatag lang niya ako og activity or assignment na noon. Discussion lang ana. Okay? So, for a critical path, para nimo makita if which project to delay, no? So, ang makita ninyo basically there is unsa man eh? You have the optimistic, the pessimistic, and the average. Gets? Wala. Mag-discuss niya tana. Question. Ngayon na ito mag-CIE orientation. Question. Anybody?
And so far, sir.
So,